Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Teachers College celebration of the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Such a big day for the environmental movement, and I'm so excited to see so many of you joining us today through Zoom. We have assembled a special collection of art, drawing and pictures, and stories from members of our community that wanted to share their own take on Earth Day, and we are going to get there in a couple of minutes. In the meantime, I invite everybody just to introduce themselves using the chat box. Just say hello, hola, shalom, whatever you want in the chat box, and say where you are joining us from. Is it New York or other places? We are a small audience for now, and I want to see where people are joining us from. So feel free to use the chat box. Great, thank you, Joya. Hello, Rachel. Hey, Mary Margaret, and Yulu, and Karin, and Denitza. Wonderful to see students from the International and Comparative Education Program and from around the college. Hey, Jonathan. Wonderful. So, as we continue with the introduction, everybody is signing in and just sharing where they're calling from. I would like to start by thanking everybody for joining us. I know everybody has things to do, but still, this is a big day to celebrate 50 years of Earth Day, and I'm happy to see everybody. So what are we here for? What is Earth Day? We'll start with a quick, very cool visual called Earthrise that was taken from Apollo 8, if I'm not wrong, in 1968. It was the first time that humans saw in color a picture of the planet from space. And together with other developments, like the publication of the book, The Silent Spring by Ray Carson, a new movement, the modern environmental movement emerged. And in 1970, the US celebrated for the first time Earth Day. It was intended some kind of a nationwide teach-in on environmental and environmental issues. It took place a year after a sad tragedy in Santa Barbara, California, after a massive oil spill that happened there. And that motivated different stakeholders at the national government, at the federal government, and at the state government to think about what we can do to engage the public with conversations around the environment, the role of humans in the environment, and how we can better take care of the planet. So that was Earth Day of 1970. Later tonight, we are going to post some resources on our website where you can actually watch CBS newscasts about the first Earth Day. The discussion there is very relevant to what we are having today. So in one hand, I'm excited to celebrate 50 years. And on the other hand, I'm wondering what really changed. Earth Day became a phenomenon in the 90s. In the 1990s specifically, there was a call to have more stakeholders in other countries joining us on this celebration. And since then, according to the estimation by the Earth Day Network, 1 billion people every year are engaging with Earth Day through community level programs, national level programs, in school, out of school, K-12, and university level. So we are really, I'm really excited to spend the coming hour with everybody here at the TC community to really focus on this day that is very, very unique, a day that brings everybody together to think about not what divides us, but actually what brings us together. And what brings us together is the care for the planet, the home of all the people on this planet. Let me tell you a little bit about who is hosting this event. It's the Center for Sustainable Futures at Teachers College. We had many different ways on how to launch the center, and we decided to launch it today on Earth Day. Rather than in a big fancy event, we wanted to do something with our own community, the Teachers College community. And I'm very happy to launch the center with you all right now. So the center, the idea behind the center is that, as this old postcard show, we are trying to take the college, a graduate school of psychology, health, and education, and we are trying to infuse sustainability ideas, behaviors, skills, knowledge, perspectives, paradigms into the different programs that are taking place at the college. And we hope that in the coming years, we are going to see more and more engagement with sustainability, broadly defined, across the college. The center at Teachers College aspire for a regenerative world in which we achieve a balance between the planet, people, and prosperity. For people who are less familiar with the whole idea of sustainability that is drawing on the 3 pillars of the economy, the society, and the environment, using the terms of planet, people, and prosperity is another way of thinking about these 3 pillars. Our mission is to promote learning, awareness, attitude, and skills to work both individually and collectively toward the long-term sustainability of complex living systems. It's really important to highlight that we are not only interested in teaching about the environment, but we also have to promote more pro-environmental awareness, attitude, and skills, not only for people to recycle better at their home or at their office, but actually to think on how we can work together. The Teachers College community, the New York City community, New York State, the US, and the international community together on how we can solve challenges like climate change, biodiversity, etc. Our center is doing this work through original research, engagement in research practice partnerships, mentoring and training of graduate students through courses and online opportunities. And we encourage the use of data to inform evidence-based policy, practice, and communication. If you are interested to learn more about the center, I invite you to join our new website at tc.columbia.edu/sustainability. Check out a special collection on climate change and education that my students in International and Comparative Education program assembled, curated for this event. And also follow us on Twitter. We try to share information about what we are doing and what other members in our Columbia space are doing. So I don't want to take more time to talk about the center. I really want to jump into the art project that so many people in our community sent us today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the art pieces, and then I'm going to invite the person who submitted the art to unmute herself or himself and to tell us a little bit about the story behind the art piece. If that person is not with us, I have a couple of notes prepared from earlier. And later on, I hope we can have some time for reflection about what this collection of art is saying about the way we are thinking about the planet, the way we are engaging with sustainability. So here is the first art project. This was sent to us by Elizabeth Rollins. And in her email, she said, along with Auntie Liz, Vincent collected leaves, sticks, and twigs in the yard, and we made a fairy house to help celebrate Earth Day. We hope they enjoy the home we've made. And what's really cool in these pictures is look at the different colors of the leaves. Look on how there are different shapes, different colors. I love the little hand of Vincent, I'm guessing, playing with this. If Liz is with us, I will be really happy to hear from her in her own voice describing what we see here. Liz, are you with us? No, I think Liz is not attending with us. I hope she will join us later. We are recording this, so others can see it later. Here is another set of pictures from Liz and Vincent. And I just love it, the way the little kid organized them together, small leaves, big leaves, all of them in different colors. It's just beautiful to see what nature has in terms of the diverse materials that we can play with and enjoy. So this is from Elizabeth Rollins and Vincent. We are moving to a collection from the preschoolers class at the Rita Gold Center at Teachers College. And here is what their teachers wrote. Some preschoolers from the Rita Gold Center made drawings in response to the story copied below. I will share the story later, while listening to What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. The drawings feature the beauty of the world as represented by curls and swirls, a rocket ship, dolphins, and other animals, the earth, stars in the sky, and the sun. So I'm going to be quiet and let you enjoy the first drawing. Here is another one. I think you can see a dolphin or a rocket ship here, I'm not sure, but this is just gorgeous. And here is the third one. I see sun. I see an elephant or a creature there. Beautiful gift from the Rita Gold Center preschool room. And I would like to thank Juan and Margaret who sent this collection to us. Moving on, we have artwork by the PM class at Hollingworth Preschool, also at the college. And you can see very nicely a title below. It's Adult Green Turtle. And that's something that the class created and put outside of the school, of the class in the hallway. My students and I visited them earlier this semester, and we were just amazed by how engaged the class, young people, really young, 3 to 4 years old, engage with issues of environmentalism and sustainability. Look at this beautiful drawing of the turtle. We are moving to my house, our household. And here I'm very happy to share that even little Barak is already learning how to take care of the plants. He's 15 months old and copy pasting everything we do, including watering the plants. And here he is, after he cleaned the apartment with the broom, he took the initiative to water the plants. And these are plants that we found in different time points in our life and brought them to the house, took care of them, and now they're flourishing, and we're very happy to see it every day. So this is our little Barak. And this is a picture from my colleague, Hanan Chang. And she wrote, I would like to share a photo I took with my phone at Torres del Paine National Park in Chile during the spring break in March. It was an amazing experience to hike there and appreciate the beauty of planet Earth. Hope the nature will continue to inspire and guide us and give us wisdom and strength to go through difficult times. I'll give you a minute to enjoy this beautiful picture. And here is another picture from Jonathan Chastain, a photo from a trip to Argentina. Jonathan, if you are online with us, can you tell us a little bit more about the picture?
Yeah, so it's funny that the picture before this was from Chile, because this is just south of that in Iguazu Falls, Argentina. And I had just come from Patagonia to go here. So I had actually hiked that mountain range that was in the picture before this, shortly before coming here about a year ago. So I was just surrounded by this immense beauty on this trip. And I caught this picture with the rainbow. And whenever you're capturing nature, there's something spiritual and calming about it. And every time I look at this picture, I always just think of the immense power and force behind our earth. And I just think it's very, very mesmerizing to me.
Yeah, indeed. This is just gorgeous. And the rainbow is just beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I find it very calming despite all of that power that you see. And it's crazy going through Iguazu Falls. Our guide was telling us the effects that the changes in the water flow from the falls, whether that be the falls being almost completely dry and there not being any water at all, to you not being able to see the falls at all because it's so full of water. And she talked a little bit about how climate change and damming of the rivers around this have kind of caused that effect. But I mean, on a day like this, it's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. This is gorgeous, gorgeous.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to post this collection online so people can look again and enjoy these pictures. Just in sake of time, I'm going to move to the next one. Here is a picture from Trish McNicholas, Director of College Events. Trish, if you are with us and you want to say something about this picture, that would be wonderful. I'm guessing Trish is not, didn't join us yet, but this is a picture from a suburb of New York, I think yesterday after the storm. Another beautiful capture of the rainbow. I find this picture to be very optimistic. Whenever I see the rainbow, I feel very optimistic. Let's enjoy this for a second. And here is the collection of pictures from Karine, and I think Karine is with us online.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Soren, for posting that. Yes, I'm just going to echo what Jonathan said, is that for me, landscapes and trying to somewhat capture the landscape in a picture is very calming. It's part of my mental health routine. So these are pictures I took over the last few years, all over the world. There's France, there's New Zealand, there's Chile and Patagonia. Bottom right is also Torres del Paine, which we just saw. There's also the bottom two left are New Mexico, Tent Rocks and National Park and Rio Grande. And so for me too, I called it A Piece of Wild Things. If you don't know the poem, it's a beautiful poem that also is, I think, is very appropriate these days. And if you don't mind, I'll just quickly read it. It's not very long. When despair for the world grows in me and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's life may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. And for a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. So that's by Wendell Berry, American poet, 85 years old, lives in Kentucky. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Karin, for the pictures and for the poem. If you send me the poem, we can attach it to the PowerPoint that we will post later on.
Thanks, Soren, will do.
Okay, this is great. Here we have two paintings from Elizabeth Bond, Sunflowers for Sustainability. Elizabeth, if you are with us, I would be to hear from you. Okay, so this is the first painting of Sunflowers for Sustainability. And here is another one. And I personally just find sunflowers so elegant. So I'm really happy that Elizabeth shared with us these paintings. And now I'm moving to another collection by Isabel Correra from the Snow Day Learning Lab. Isabel, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wonderful. Do you want to talk about this collection and a little bit about the project?
Thank you, Aaron. Yes. So what you see here is a collection of bioplastics that we made at the Snow Day Learning Lab. This was a small learning experience that I designed in the context of my dissertation that I call the Human Nature Project. So the idea is to invite people to rethink their relationship with nature by creating with it. So instead of using nature and exploiting nature, I would like to see how we can collaborate with nature to create new technologies or techno-ecologies, or I don't know how to call it, but how we can grow together instead of competing with each other. So how we see ourselves as a species in relationship with other beings. So I am exploring, for example, how to use, in these pictures you can see we use algae and other vegetable thickening agents to create these bioplastics. And I'm also experimenting with fungi and other creatures to create materials that we can then use with other technologies in a makerspace to create different things. But it's a very incipient exploration. I am just starting, but I'm super excited to be here sharing this with you guys.
So bioplastics is plastic that you can make from non-fuel sources.
Right, yes.
Non-oil for sources.
So, right. So for example, these ones are made from algae, most of them. And you can also make them with other vegetable or animal elements instead of using fossil fuels.
I see. Gorgeous. Thank you so much. Okay. This piece was submitted by Ansel Omen, and she called it Silent Spring. She sent me a short description of this piece, and I would like to read it for everybody to share it with you. So Ansel is writing, this piece is a tribute to Earth Day, the National Medical Laboratory Professional Week, and to all of us who are finding our balance in this unsteady time. As an artist, urban naturalist, and medical technologist working in clinical microbiology, I find myself unusually entangled in the New York City outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Sometimes, after a rough shift, I like to visit the parks to get away from the madness. Yet as I walk in the barn streets and eerie, quiet green spaces, I am often reminded of Rachel Carson and her Silent Spring. But instead of the presence of pesticides, it is the absence of people that is most difficult. The visual, the Silent Spring, is composed out of a familiar laboratory element, the biohazard label, the red label for biohazard, which was repurposed to convey how elements of public health, mental health, and ecology overlap. The use of the biohazard labels also alludes to my first degree in toxicology. By using axiomatic color codes, this piece is a visual warning for viewers to stop and reflect on how we use and abuse each other and our environment. Indeed, the beauty of art is that it requires us to be fluent in our own humanity so that we can speak it as a universal language. So first of all, thank you, Ansel, for all the work that you and your colleagues are doing to keep us safe and healthy in this time. All the medical professionals working 24/7 these days. And thank you so much for sharing this with us. This is just, I'm speechless after seeing and thinking about this piece. So I'm going to let everybody look at it for a couple of more seconds and we'll move to the next one. And here we have a piece, an art piece by Elaine Perlman. Elaine, if you are with us, we will be more than happy to hear about the story behind this drawing. Elaine might join us later, but you can see a very cute drawing of the planet and animals holding hands around it. The only animal missing is humans. Wonderful piece. And here a piece by Aisha Rabadi Raul. I think I saw you already with us online. I invite you to share a little bit. Yeah. Hey, Aisha.
Hi.
Hi. Please go ahead and tell us a little bit about this wonderful painting.
Yeah, so as some of you know, I did the Tell a Tale read aloud this morning with the book Greta and the Giants, and I was thinking of creating a poster for that. So it's just a peacock, which is the national bird of India, and I'm thinking a lot about home because I'm from India. So, you know, that represents my Indian culture. And then I'm thinking about the whole world and what we're going through right now. And, you know, what it means to celebrate Earth Day. And my question was, what have we learned, if anything? So, yeah, many thoughts in my head when I made this picture. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, thank you for this, and thank you for your wonderful read aloud sessions twice a week. We are so blessed to have you with us, and congratulations on defending your dissertation.
Thank you.
Amazing achievement as well. So it's wonderful seeing you in person, meeting you in person through Zoom today, twice. So that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. So here is one more that we received from Amber Kim, a student in my program. It's an upcycled art piece from the Brooklyn Sims Municipal Recycling Center. And this recycling center, we've been visiting them once a year with my class on sustainability. And we are opening these tours every year to members of the community. If you want to join us next year, please join us. If you look carefully on this piece, you can see that it's all made of keyboard, computer, the buttons of the keyboard. So you have the gray, the whites, and the black buttons or keys in the keyboard. So this is all from broken or used keyboard, and this piece, it's quite big. It's standing in the center for people to see how we can rethink the idea of art from reusable materials. And here is one example, and it's beautiful. There are many examples like that at the center, and we encourage people to join us next year for our trip. So I thought we can take a minute and pause and reflect a little bit about the collection of items that our community shared with us. And I'm inviting people to share their reflection. Just unmute yourself. If you want to use the video, that's great. If you prefer just audio, it's also okay. We would love to hear from people what they see here in this collection.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi. So I had to come in late because I just got out of another meeting, but so I only got to see about 6 or 7 of the pieces, but the sunflowers in particular really touched me. My dad passed away just after September 11th, actually. So it's been many years, but I still miss him dearly, and especially in times like this. And he was a photographer and took pictures of sunflowers and rainbows in particular. And so anytime I see sunflowers and rainbows, I'm just really moved. And the children that I work with draw those a lot, especially it just so happens whenever I leave a position, they give me pictures of sunflowers and rainbows. I don't know if I talk about them, and they just, that just really, thank you for the person who shared those. And I don't know who got to join the One World, if you were able to watch it, but the woman singing the rainbow song was just really special. So thank you all for your work, for what I got to see of it. I hope I have a chance to look back at some of it.
Yes, we will post it. Do you want to talk about the collection of pictures you sent us?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think you may have talked about them before I came, but let me...
Here you go.
Yeah, so I feel incredibly fortunate right now to be able to stay with my friends who have extra space in their home. I just defended my dissertation and looking for jobs. So it's an uncertain time, but I feel really fortunate that I'm healthy, that my friends and family are healthy, and that we have this space, this yard here to explore. So all of this was collected from the yard. It was things that had fallen off the tree. So we weren't, and I'm an early childhood educator, so I always tell them, it's still growing. If it's on the ground, let's use it. But if it's still growing, let's let it keep growing. So the little boy, Vincent, and I were collecting these things and sort of making these necklaces to make a fairy house. And it kind of looks a little, it is what it is, but it was really special to just be able to engage with him in that, especially not being able to be in the classroom right now. So thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this picture, so thank you for sharing that with us. Others?
Hi, this is Pam.
Hey, Pam.
Hi. First of all, this was amazing. And I think it gave me a sense of calm and peace and hopefulness collectively from all of them that I don't think I've been feeling too much lately. So thank you to everyone who contributed. Really, and thank you for Oren for putting this together. Really, really amazing and moving. Thank you.
And Pam is part of the leadership team of the Center for Sustainable Futures that we introduced earlier. Pam, do you want to talk a little bit about what you do on sustainability so people can have a sense?
Sure. So I'm from the program in nutrition, and within that program, we have the Lori M. Tisch Center for Food Education and Policy. So I'm kind of work teaching and as well as the center. And we focus a lot on food system sustainability. I actually teach a course called Nutritional Ecology. So if you go onto the TC homepage, there is a masterclass by Joan Gussow, and she's been teaching nutritional ecology actually since 1970, and which is amazing. And so a really, really long time. And she has a really very long view of the food system and how it's changed. And one of the highlights of that course, as Oren said, field trips tend to be a highlight of classes. And one of the highlights of that course is going up to Joan's home, which is in Piermont, New York. That's on the other side of the Hudson of New York City, but just about maybe 20 miles up. And she actually has a garden that goes all the way down to the river. And so the students get to, and she grows most of her own vegetables. So the students get to see how she grows her own vegetables. And then we have a whole conversation about organic and the history of organic agriculture. And actually with agriculture, not the kind of agriculture that we use now, but if we use the right kind of agriculture, we could build biodiversity, build soil health, reduce the water pollution that happens from the runoff from farms, and be able to make agriculture a net sequester of carbon and actually sequester enough carbon to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. So agriculture could play a really big role. And so we focus on that and also do a lot of research, doing educational programs with children that focus on food and sustainability. Oren and I work with so many, we work together and with so many of the same organizations that sometimes don't realize how much we work together because they focus on sustainability and food and the interconnections of those. So we're really happy to be able to bring that work all together. And I actually really think that, you know, I believe that we're going to make it through this global pandemic. And I think that there's a lot of push that we would actually get a lot more challenged, but I believe we can become stronger. And I think the heightened awareness of everybody needs to eat and how important our food system is because of food just not being there the same way as it was before will hopefully help us to make really good decisions in the future as a society.
Thank you so much, Pam, for everything. This was wonderful. Again, I'm inviting people to reflect with us on what we saw so far.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ilu, but you can call me Lulu. I'm a first-year MA student from the Adult Learning and Leadership program. And currently, like last semester, I've been taking courses such as education and philosophy. And then this semester, I've been taking courses like instructional design for education technology. So by having this like courses, I always have this climate crisis or like sustainability as a central theme while I was taking these courses. I was keep thinking, and just by seeing all of your presentation and wonderful artwork, one strong reflection that I have was the theme of humanity and in nature. And I remember that in education and philosophy classes, we've been reading about Dewey, and one of his major idea is like human as learner. How they grow is they keep interacting with the environment. And then we also read about Suana, which is an awesome Spanish philosopher and educator in Spain. And she was sort of proposing the idea is like you basically learning from everything and you're learning from what you interact like on a daily basis, which is the nature. I mean like we can see in all of your artwork, everybody was pay attention, observe the nature environment, and then they capture it, and then they make it, and then they create with it. So I just feel like this really triggers my thinking about what education on sustainability or like what is the education or learning for the future would be like. And currently I am also designing a learning game, teaching like kids or like teaching household about carbon footprint and the climate crisis. So I just got a lot of inspiration from your sharing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I am looking forward to chat with you one-on-one and to learn more about what you're doing. Sounds like you should join our doctoral network. We have a lot to learn from you.
Thank you.
Great. Others?
I think I can speak very shortly, but it's something that I see through all your photos and drawings that are beautiful. What I love about them is that I feel that we all share this love for nature, and I feel that's for me what moves me to work in this area. I feel that if you don't love something, how are you gonna take care of it? And I would love to see how everyone's work here moves in that direction, not only taking care of greenhouse gases and all that stuff that is so complicated, but also knowing that each of us are moving into taking care of the things that we love, which is nature and other human beings. So I love to see how we are all connected through that.
Thank you, Isabel.
I can just elaborate along that point as well. I was thinking when we were looking at the photos, how people had, it was really interesting to me how people had connections between each of the photos. So I think someone had said, oh, well, that photo, I actually just came from that place when I took this photo. So that idea of interconnectedness really is kind of what has inspired me to take your class, Oren, but also has inspired me behind the idea of sustainability, is that the world is interconnected and we need a solution that is interconnected. So yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking when I was looking at those photos. I thought that was really interesting.
Wonderful. Rachel is one of the students in my sustainability class that, as I mentioned earlier, their project, their community project this semester was to curate a webpage on climate change and education. We provided the link earlier, and I will give it again toward the end of the session. So thank you for the students who dedicated their time and energy for this project. Inviting other people on the call to reflect with us about what we saw so far. Want to say a word about what we see here? So let me offer my thought or reflection about the beautiful images that we see here. And I think that they really represent the different paradigms or approaches that people have in the environmental movement. We have one paradigm focused on admiration, love, caring to nature. This is the origins of the environmental movement. Very romantic approach to nature, looking in it to enjoy it. We have other groups that were talking more about how we humans engage with the planet. And I think this was more evident in the picture about the upcycling, or Aisha poster and question about what did we learn over the past 50 years. I think that's a question for the humans on the planet. And then we have this third paradigm that is not only about humans and nature, it's really about the interaction between them and other aspects of other social aspects and how they interact with environmentalism. So this image, the Silent Spring, I think really speaks to the issues of social justice, environmental justice, health, and sustainability, not only environmental, but health and well-being overall. So when I looked at this collection, I couldn't stop thinking that this is a good illustration of the different paradigms or the different roots that people come from when they join the environmental movement. And it's very cool to see it happening in this session as well. Any other comments?
I mean, maybe, hi, this is Delitza. Something I just wrote kind of just reflecting on the photos. Like the two beautiful pictures from South America reminded me of when I visited a place in Southern Africa. I was in Victoria Falls, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago on the Zambia side, and it was like the summer season there, so the falls were not like at full, you know, like full water. The Zambezi River was still beautiful and very breathtaking. And then I think like a year ago, there was the news that the falls have gone completely dry. And just like very, very dried out. Just remember the photos was like so unbelievable, you know, knowing this like amazing landmark, like natural site that just like completely changed. And like listening to the conversation and the photos kind of transported me back then and how I felt, just like, you know, being lucky to see it in person. And then how we engage with these topics and issues as educators, as researchers, as people who work, you know, in different kind of corners of education, and how we kind of take this forward and further. So I guess it's more of a question than, but yeah. Thank you for sharing these.
And thank you, Denitza, for the comment and for the questions. Indeed, big questions about what are we doing next? Like what's our role in this as educators, as professionals? I see many people on the call, which is great. If anyone else want to offer a reflection about what we saw here, please.
Hi, Oren. It's Denise Mahfoud from Science Education. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. Yeah, I was just looking at the photo of the falls. I was actually in Victoria Falls on both the Zambia and Zimbabwe side in August of July, early August of last year. And even then, you know, our guide, you know, indicated that it's usually a lot fuller in terms of the amount of water. And, you know, reading quite recently that it's dried up significantly. You're just seeing just the jagged rocks. And you know, it's sort of frightening what we're sort of doing to the only home that we know, and you know, hopefully that we can, you know, do things to turn around, you know, the enormous damage that we're doing to the natural environment. Just to let everyone know, I teach a course in science education in the spring. It's called Science in the Environment, and the focus is generally on the pedagogy using the next generation science standards to really kind of explore issues around sustainability and Earth as a system. And so, you know, but unfortunately, because we had to move everything online, there were so many exciting things that I had planned for students in terms of activism. They were going to participate in Earth Day March and do some sort of volunteer activity for Earth Day and other things related to the environment. But hopefully we will, once we get through this, I can resume those topics that I wanted to cover. So thank you, Oren, for putting this together. It's the images are breathtaking, and it's they bring a sense of calm and hope, I think, to myself, and I hope to others, that, you know, we will persevere and we will get through this.
Thank you, Denise, so much for this these words. Denise's class is part of a cluster of classes that we are offering on sustainability. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you some other classes. But if you're interested, feel free to contact us, Pam, Denise, myself, and others. We are more than happy to talk with you about the different opportunities that the college has to engage with this topic. I see a comment from Harriet in the chat box, and I wonder if Harriet would like to speak about reflection.
Sure. Thank you for doing this. I'll make it very brief. I was powerfully struck by how interdisciplinary this was. And I hate to use the word because it's a cliche. It's used so often. Often it has no meaning. But this actually has meaning because the disciplines that are covered here, you know, include everything from food, nutrition, government policy, science, technology. And so not only were there those, that interdisciplinary aspect, but it was also intergenerational. And I didn't expect that before coming today. And the children and the scholars equally had important wisdom to share. So I was struck by that and really moved. So thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. I see Obi raise his hand.
Hi, good evening. So I came in late to the conversation, so I'm not exactly familiar with the format, but in viewing some of the photos that have been displayed thus far, particularly the photo of the mountain range in Chile, it made me think about just a growing movement within legal education that examines whether natural phenomena should be considered as having a legal personhood. So whether natural phenomenon should be given legal rights. And I'm not sure if some of you are familiar, last year, Lake Erie, which is part of the Great Lakes within the Midwest area of the US, Lake Erie was granted legal personhood. So it has legal rights. And I'm just curious to know if any of you are familiar with this movement and if you have any reactions to whether there should be an increase in getting some of these natural phenomenon recognized as legal persons.
We didn't discuss this at this session. I'm familiar with the movement, but I will let others respond. And if not, I'm more than happy to chat about it, Obi. It's an interesting move, this legalization of natural phenomena and letting them having a say in courts. It's an interesting move. Anyone want to respond to that? If not, Obi and I can have a discussion about that later.
Hey, Oren. First, thank you so much for this presentation. I'm really enthralled by the artwork that people have shared. I guess I'm just having a reflection. I'm reading a book by Eileen Christ, and she writes a book called Abundant Earth, Toward an Ecological Civilization. And really, the book is divided into about 3 parts. And really, in the first part, she talks quite a bit about how much the Earth has really lost in terms of biodiversity and the destruction that's already come to the ecological impact on the planet. And what her point is with all these statistics and numbers is that we don't even know the wonder of nature that we're actually missing out on, and the connections that we can actually have from a larger flock of birds than we've ever seen before, or these natural wonders that just don't exist. And I think these pieces of artwork are just so fascinating because for me, it taps into this sense of wonder and this sense of connection and a relationship that I think that is really being damaged, or even we don't even know the relationship we could be having because of the amount of damage that has already been done. So I guess I'm just very appreciative, and I express my gratitude to those who've contributed the artwork, because it does tap into that sense of wonder and that sense of beauty that I think is really being missed. I think also particularly now during the pandemic. So thank you.
And as Harriet mentioned earlier, this intergenerational aspect of the discussion, we have current students, we have former students, we have faculty, we have staff and administration. This is just wonderful. And I'm so happy to see so many people interested with sustainability at the college. I really think that Teachers College could lead this effort, and we have a lot to offer. And apropos what we have to offer, I would like to give you I would like to share with you, just a second, more information about our website that we launched today. The Center for Sustainable Futures, as I said, is officially open for business starting from today. This website is tc.edu/sustainability. You can read about us. Here is the homepage. You can read a little bit about our mission statement and what we are trying to do. And you can read a little bit about who we are, who is the team that is leading this. So as I mentioned earlier, together with Pam Coach and Sonali Rajan and myself, we are leading this effort. We are seeking grants and ways to support students. We are excited to share that next year we are going to have not 1, but 6 different fellowships for students who are interested in sustainability. 3 fellowships as part of the Zankel program at the college will be dedicated to climate change. And I think 1 or 2 will be about food and nutrition, led by Pam and her team. And we are going to have a postdoc position next year for students interested in the intersectionality of parents and climate change. So feel free to read more about our team. We have Karine that is on the call. We have Erica, Debbie, of course, I think she joined us. And we have our fellows, the Zankel Fellow and International Research Fellow. So please join us and read more about what we do here. If you want to catch up on news from the center, you can see more news stories here. I think this is the piece that Pam was talking about on Joanne class, and you can see other stories about activities and guest lectures we had at the college. I want to point out the research tab, and you can see different research that we are doing. If it's about public opinion and climate change, comparative lenses on the growth of environmental education, or projects about students. So we have Darren and Amber who contributed a piece, 2 pieces here actually, what students think about reducing the ecological footprint, and also what students think about sustainability, environmental and sustainability education at the college. You can read more. Everything is available for free. Please read, share, and learn, and teach us. Tell us what you think we should address as well in through this website. As Denise mentioned earlier, we have a list of courses that we are offering on sustainability, from environmental health and nutrition ecology, introduction to the topic, climate change, society and education is a new class I'll be offering next year, and science in the environment that Denise mentioned earlier. If you click on the plus button, you can read more, and you can have contact information for each of the instructors if you have questions. If you want to read more about what the college is doing to improve its ecological footprint, go to our tab, to our campus tab, and here you can read about what we're doing around water, for example. And for example, you can read about all the water refilling stations, where they are located, etc. This is part of our education to use the college, the campus itself, as a way to learn and engage with sustainability. Last but not least, the resource tab include different resources that we assembled, starting with our webinar series, Thinking Global, Educating Local. We have 8 recorded webinars that are available for free. You can listen to them. Each of them is around 1 hour, where we are trying to bring an expert and some kind of a frontliner, a teacher, an NGO, other type of educators, and how they engage with these ideas. So here, webinar 5 was about food, and Pam, coach, led this webinar together with teachers from different schools. The most recent webinar was with the famous Noam Chomsky, who talked about the 3 existential threats that face humanity. It was an amazing 1-hour chat with Professor Chomsky on what he thinks are the 3 main challenges and what we as humanity can do about it. As I mentioned earlier, this year, students in my class assembled a resource page about climate change and education. I would like to thank the students and also Erika Kessler, our wonderful webmaster who put it all together. And here you can see a lot of resources organized with questions. And if you click on the question, for example, what about art? It will take you down to a collection of, here, 4 clips of music in Spanish. If you teach in a bilingual school or if you teach abroad in Spanish, you have 4 clips that our student, I think Veronica, identified, and we posted it here. You also have recommendations for books. So Greta and the Giants is one of the books that Aisha mentioned earlier. And later this week, we're going to add the recording that Aisha did earlier today with the book Greta and the Giants. So this is our website. I invite you to join the conversation by following us on Twitter, visiting the website, and contacting us, the faculty, the students, with any question you might have about sustainability at the college and how we can get it better. Sustainability is a project not for individuals, but for groups. And we are looking forward to work with everybody in different capacity on how to really push the message of sustainability within the college and outside of the college. And with this, I'm going to end our session. I want to thank everybody for spending an hour with us celebrating Earth Day. It's a big day, 50th anniversary. I'm looking forward to celebrate the 51st anniversary with everybody next year in person, where we can give a hug to each other without social isolation. And in the meantime, please be safe, take care of yourself, and let us know if you have any question about sustainability. We are more than happy to work with you on different issues. Thank you so much for joining us. We will post it online later this week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, thanks, Oren.
Bye-bye.
Bye.